Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Alignment with Jen podcast. I am your host, Jen Ditzazy, and today we're going to be going through a 3-step manifestation method to give you the nuts and bolts of how all of this manifestation stuff fits together. So something that I often hear is that people are getting all this information about manifestation from social media, from Pinterest, from wherever, right? Books, and it can sometimes be hard to fit it all together. So what I want to give you today is really a framework, a process for you to follow in order to manifest that next level in your life. Because we are always manifesting in every single moment. And when you learn how to harness this ability to direct it at what you want, you are going to be able to manifest new things in your life much more quickly. So I'm super, super excited for this episode. You're going to get a lot of tools and practices that you can use in order to really speed up whatever it is that you're manifesting. So let's get into it. So one thing I wanted to mention is that there's this story about how Jim Carrey, when he first started acting and he was making no money, he wrote himself this check for $10 million. And he kept it in his wallet and he would look at it. And he says that he would visualize himself receiving this check and he would visualize like his success and things like that. And what's really interesting is 10 years later, he ended up manifesting a check for $10 million for the movie Dumb and Dumber. And he talks about how he believes that manifestation is real. You can go on Instagram, you can look at some of the videos of him talking about it and how he believes that he manifested his career. That is the thing, is the most successful people in the world are operating off of these manifestation principles, whether they realize it or not. You can look at successful athletes, you can look at successful business people. They all follow these principles of manifestation, whether they know that's what they're doing or not, they innately know to do it. And so that's why it's so powerful to study manifestation, is because you can take these tools that wildly successful people are using and apply them to your own life to achieve more success in your own life, whether that's in a relationship, a business, in your finances, whatever. So let's get into it. I want to start off with why manifestation doesn't work for a lot of people. And it's really, really simple. And it's the same reason essentially for most people. It's the energy from which they are operating from. Manifestation is all about energy. We live in a universe of energy. Matter, the stuff, all of the stuff around us is made of 99.99999% empty space and energy, right? It looks solid because the energy has slowed down, but it is all energy. And so we manifest by moving through these different frequency bands. We manifest new realities for ourselves. And so we do that by focusing on our energy and elevating our energy and elevating our frequency. And you can even see this in a really practical way when you interact with people, right? Let's say that you sit down in an event. This happened to me recently. And on one side of you is somebody who has terrible energy, right? They're super negative. They're super unenjoyable. All they say are negative things about the event. And then on this side of you, somebody who's super awesome and excited and having a great time, has a smile on their face. Who are you naturally going to want to face your body toward? Who are you going to want to partner with? Who are you going to want to interact with? Who are you going to want to stay in contact with? The answer is obvious, right? This person who is in a higher vibrational frequency. That's how life works as well. The life supports what supports life. And when we are in this negative space, we're not supporting life. So we want to cultivate the habits and the patterns to be in that higher vibrational frequency. Even so practically, people want to be around us, right? We attract opportunities, but even more than that, because that draws energetically like experiences to us. This person, this negative person on the left side, is going to attract more experiences to prove their current emotional state true. This person on the right side is going to attract more experiences to prove their current emotional state true. Which person would you rather be? The answer is obvious, right? That's the first thing that we have to understand is, and this you can kind of just check in with yourself, like, what is my current emotional state most of the time? Am I operating from worry or fear or lack? or concern or not believing in myself? Or am I operating from happiness and joy and gratitude? There's this person on social media, gosh, I cannot remember his name, but he has these videos and he's like a snowboarder or like a surfer dude, and he just is stoked, and he'll show he calls it his situation, and he'll show like his family, his girl or his fiance and his dog, and how he's so stoked, and they're just sitting in the backyard, right? He's stoked on all these little simple things in his life. That guy is a magnet because he's so grateful. He's so magnetic, right? Versus somebody that is not happy with anything in their circumstances. So it's noticing what you're operating off of and taking it upon yourself to improve that if it's not where you want it to be. That's the first thing, is just understanding our emotional baseline, because that is going to impact our ability to manifest things in our life at every single level, right? Something that Tony Robbins even talks about this. He doesn't talk about it. He doesn't call it manifestation. I personally am convinced that's what he teaches. He just teaches it in a really logical, masculine way. He talks about your state, how your state, your emotional, your physiological state is the most important thing, because it's the bedrock, the foundation for everything that you create in life. When we are in that low emotional state, we are going to struggle a lot more than when we can get ourselves into a higher emotional state. And I will oftentimes tell my clients when they're struggling with something to not worry about it. Go get yourself in the right emotional state and then come back to me, because that's really the only place that we're going to be able to solve this problem from. You cannot solve problems from the level of consciousness that created the problems. So that's just a little disclaimer before we get into the 3 steps. So the first step is vision clarity. It is being clear on the type of life that you want to create for yourself. And this doesn't mean that it can't change. It doesn't mean that it can't evolve. It doesn't mean that it has to be perfect, but it's understanding, what do I really want in life? What kind of life do I want for myself? And this seems so incredibly simple, yet so many people get stuck here because they tell themselves before they even allow themselves to dream that it's not possible, that the things that they would want couldn't happen. As we talk about all 3 steps, we'll understand why that is, but I want you to look at that for yourself. The vision that you have for yourself, are you watering it down because you're already telling yourself it's not possible? Because that's weakening your magnet. In addition to getting clear on what it is you want, right? I would say get clear on each area of your life, your relationship, your intimate relationship, your friendships and community, your finances, your home, your health, your career, your purpose, right? Get clear on all of these different areas, and also get clear on the next level. It's not just about the what. The what is actually not nearly as important as the feeling behind it, the frequency, because every single thing that you want to manifest, the reason you want to manifest it is because you want to manifest the feeling behind it. And we oftentimes, what I will hear, I hear this a lot, for an example, in relationships, where people will say, I want a man who is 6'5", makes 6 figures, right? That whole meme that was on Instagram. And he, is a masculine man, and he plans all the dates and he does all of these things. And that's cool. But like, what they're completely missing is, how does this man actually make you feel? Because there's a lot of men like that who will make you not feel great about yourself, right? It's about what that manifestation will actually make you feel. That's really where you want to start from, right? Why do you want someone that's 6'5"? What does that actually make you feel? Does that really matter, or are there things that matter more? I venture to say there's things that matter a lot more. That's what you want to think about. Any list that you create of what you want to manifest, I want you to actually dig deeper and ask yourself, why do I actually want this? Do I want this because of the status of this kind of car? Do I want this because it will actually help me to feel really, really happy and good on a daily basis? Do I want this for the safety of it? Do I want this because it's exciting? What's the feeling that you are seeking? And when you understand that feeling that you are seeking, you can become more of a magnet for that by becoming that feeling, because we know via the law of attraction that like attracts like. So if you want to attract someone who makes you feel incredibly good about yourself, confident, happy, fulfilled, you have to become a vibrational match for that. If you feel low self-esteem and unfulfilled and unworthy, you're not going to attract this. It's going to be a mismatch. So we have to understand when we're doing this first step, what's that vibrational frequency? What's that energy beneath it? And a lot of times people will come to me and they'll tell me the things that they want. And then I'll ask them, okay, why do you want that? Like why is that important for you? And then we'll get a little bit deeper. Right? And that's when the good stuff actually comes out. And they can see that it doesn't actually have to be this exact thing, that there's other ways for them to get there. And that's a good thing, because typically if your vision is too narrow, that can also create challenges. Because this is why some people will say that they want to manifest a specific person into their life. I don't like that at all. Why I don't like that is because it's essentially you trying to play God, you saying, I know what's the best thing for me, when you don't know every single person that has ever lived and that you could ever possibly love. I guarantee there's probably someone out there who's a better fit for you. And so when you open it up a little bit and you remember that you are co-creating with the universe, with the creator, then you open yourself up to more possibilities, and those more possibilities are likely better than what your narrow perspective can see. One of my teachers talks about how it's the peephole on a door. When you look through that peephole, all you can see is that little person and they're kind of blurry. That's what we can see from our human perspective. But the universe, the creator, can see everything that's available. That's one thing to really think about as well. So that's step number one. I'll give you a couple of questions that you can ask yourself. You might want to jot these down so you can write them maybe tonight in your journal. So one of them is, 1 year from today, you wake up inside the life you've been calling in. What does that morning feel like? What does it feel like? That's what I want you to get into. Honestly, manifestation can be simplified into, what's the feeling you want? How can you live in that feeling now? Very simple. There's more to it, but pretty simple. Okay, what are 3 dominant feelings moving through your body? Who is the woman living that life? It's about becoming that version of you, right? Stepping into that version. Does she have no boundaries and is a total people pleaser? Probably not, right? She probably has strong boundaries and she protects her own peace. So just noticing. Okay, the second step of the process is to clear the blocks that come up. So typically the reason that we are struggling to manifest something is because our conscious mind and our subconscious mind are out of alignment. Because when they are in alignment, our subconscious mind will solve any problem. It will go and find the solutions in order to create anything you want. But if our subconscious mind fears what it is that we want, it believes that it's unsafe in some way or unfamiliar, then it will create challenges and it will make it harder for us to manifest that thing. So that could look like procrastinating on your goal of growing your social media because there's these fears and these doubts coming up subconsciously. I want to actually walk you through, and I want to make this a little more tangible and walk you through 6 of the core manifestation blocks that I see most commonly after working with hundreds and hundreds of women to go through this process. So the first one, and really I believe this is the core one, and everything kind of branches off of it. So you can think of this as like a circle and everything else are like leaves coming off the sides, is worth and identity. This is the belief of, am I worthy to have what I want? Am I worthy of this kind of love? Am I worthy of this level of success? Am I worthy of life being easy instead of being a struggle? Right? That's a big one for a lot of people. Worthiness. It is a mismatch between the identity of who we believe we are and who we need to be in order to manifest what we want. Because the truth is that we are all innately worthy of the things that we want. Maybe we have to gain skills. Maybe we have to, learn some new things to manifest them. But we are all enough to have these things, right? We are all deserving of love, of abundance, of the kind of freedom that we want. And the Creator wants us to have those things. But it is our lack of belief in that. It is from these stories, these programs that we've picked up from this life and past lives that makes us believe that we may not be worthy of that. And that's one of the core things that we have to work on in order to really even be able to see the full expanse of what's available to us. Because I guarantee that what you want to manifest is like a tiny pinhole of light compared to all of the light that you could really have in your life. So that's the first one. And so this one, oftentimes people will say like, oh, that's not me. And oftentimes you have to look a little bit deeper to really understand this. Tony Robbins says that he believes that there's really only one core limiting belief. And it sounds like two, but it's really one. It's the fear that I won't be worthy of what I want. And if I'm not worthy of it, then I won't be loved. So it's this same idea of wanting to be worthy and also connected to love. So the second one of these core ones is inside of love, relationships, and belonging. And it's if I change, right? If I become this new version of myself as I manifest this new business or this new level of success, will the people that I love still love me? Right? Will I lose people who care about me? This one's really sneaky and it comes up for a lot of people. And it comes up a lot too in social media of this fear of what are people going to think of me when I start to post about X, Y, and Z on social media in a way they've never seen me before. Will they still like me? Will they still accept me? Right? We want to be approved of. We want people to care about us. It's very human and very innate and natural. So that's one of these core fears. Another one is similar to this, and it's around visibility, authenticity, and expression. What if I'm judged? If I start to put myself out there, whether that's in a relationship, I show up as my authentic self, what if I'm not loved back? What if they judge me negatively? Or what if I ask my boss for a raise and he thinks I don't deserve it and he judges me for that? Or I post on social media, right? That's a great example of this. Then another one is around success, power, and purpose. And this is, can I really be that successful? Like, who am I to believe that this is possible for me? And you can kind of see how these all relate back to the first one. Or what if I fail? This is a really big one that I hear. It's this fear of the unknown of, okay, if I step out there into this new place that I've never been before, what if I fail? What if I can't hack it? That's a fear that comes up for a lot of people. Then we have surrender, trust, and safety. And this is, what if something goes wrong, right? What if I can't do it? What if I don't know what to do? What if it's like, can I trust that I will be supported? Can I trust in myself to know that I'll be provided for? And I believe this is even bigger of, can I trust in the universe, in the creator, that I will be okay, that I will be taken care of, that I will be guided? Right? That's a big one. I believe that's one of the core ones as well, because when we can trust in that, things get so much easier, so much easier. And then the last one is around money, abundance, and receiving. And it's, is it safe for me to receive more? So a lot of times people have these fears linked to receiving more money because they fear that if they are to receive that, it will lead to something negative. That could be they saw their parents fight about money, and so they fear that money will create conflict in their life, or money will make them a bad person, or they won't be able to manage that higher level of money. If you are chaotic with your money now, I'm sure your subconscious mind is afraid if you have more money, it's going to be even more chaotic, right? So those are some of the core ones. We can go deeper into those, but if those resonate with you, my group coaching program is probably a good fit for you. You can send me the word podcast on Instagram at Alignment with Jen, and I'll send you a 5-minute video about that, because that's where I guide people through rewiring all of these core beliefs so that way you can really show up as that next level version of you. So that's the second step, is clearing those blocks. Now, what happens is as we clear out that old version of ourself that was operating off of these limited identities, what happens is our vision will expand. We might want something totally different. I had a client who she had this catering business. And then as she went through this process, she ended up selling her catering business, moving across the country, and decided that she wanted to be in the film industry. And she had never claimed that vision for herself before. But as she did this work, her vision completely changed because she saw a new version of her who was capable of different things. So it's okay for your vision to expand and ebb and flow. And then the last step is step 3 is collapse the timeline. So we do this by creating full alignment between our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions. It's when we clear out those blocks, it's easier for us to listen to our intuition. And I did the last episode on intuition that you can check out. but it's easier for us to listen to our intuition so we know what aligned actions to take. I'm not a firm believer in taking a ton of random action. I just think that burns you out, especially for females. I believe that is not helpful or possible throughout our entire cycle. I believe in taking really potent aligned action, meaning taking actions that I know are going to move the needle and are going to create 10 times the result. So how do I do that? Number one, we connect to our intuition so that way we can identify what those more aligned actions are. But a simple way is just what sounds really exciting and good to you now. Follow those actions, follow those strongly and potently. But the second is, what energy am I taking that action from? Because go back to that example I gave earlier of the person on the left and the person on the right, the person who's negative and sort of not a great vibe, and then the person who's super stoked and happy. Who do you think is actually more effective and their action is backed by a more powerful energy? This happy person, right? That's a more powerful, higher vibrational energy. And so noticing what energy are you taking action from? This is why I'll tell my clients, if they're in the wrong energy, to not do anything. Go fix your energy first and then come back. Because when we get our energy right, it's like we are able to skyrocket so much further than if we have not as good of energy. And so this step really kind of requires two pieces. It requires aligned action, right? Taking actions from the right energy and that connection to our higher self, to the creator, to really understand what those appropriate actions are. And if you're not at that place, right, that takes time to develop that connection. That's okay. Just ask yourself, what feels right to me? What feels like aligned action? Even if it feels uncomfortable, even if it feels scary. Looking at my life right now, if I were to view it as a movie, where can I impact my life in a way that would feel good and move me closer to that higher version of me? Right? And I guarantee you can come up with probably a dozen things that you could do today in order to get yourself to that place. One important thing to note on this step too is oftentimes these aligned actions will be a little scary. They'll be a little uncomfortable. I had a client who wanted to grow her own business. She's doing some consulting for other businesses, and then she wants to grow. And that's really her passion, is to grow her own business. And she just told one of her largest clients that she was going to let them go. And that is scary and it's uncomfortable, but I guarantee she's going to reveal so much light. She's going to have so many amazing things come to her because she let go of something that was unaligned, even though it was scary, in order to make space for what is available for her. Because in the universe, there's this law called the law of vacuum. And it's any time we create a vacuum in our lives, meaning we remove something, something is going to come to fill it. And that thing that comes will match our vibrational energy. So when we let go of something that is a lower vibrational energy, we're going to make space for something better to arrive, right? When I quit my corporate job, I had no plans. I didn't know what I was going to do. I quit my corporate job and I just created all of this space in my life. And people will ask me, like, how'd you start your business? And I honestly don't really know. Like, I don't remember thinking of the idea for the business. I don't even remember finding the coach who ended up helping me. I don't know, because I created this vacuum and the universe filled it with what was aligned for me, right? And it worked out great. But I had to take that risk. I had to take that step, even though it was scary. So think about, where in your life can you take a step that's uncomfortable? Because that's going to lead you outside of your comfort zone a little bit, and that's going to expand what's available to you. I want to give you this little quadrant system. This is something I learned from the teachings of Kabbalah, and I think it's a really helpful way for you to understand moving through the manifestation process for yourself. This 4-quadrant system is kind of how you can look at how you are manifesting in your life, because these are basically the 4 pieces that you want to be moving through all the time. So this is sort of in addition to those 3 steps. This is like the daily version of it. So the first one is what we talked about, is the physical action, right? What physical actions in the 3D reality are you taking? And personally, I believe these are, yes, they're important, but they're not as important as the other 3. So what are the actions that you're taking to move your manifestation forward? So if you want to meet the love of your life, maybe this is going on dates. If you want to, get a promotion, maybe this is doing a little bit of additional things in your job to show that you have these additional skills, whatever it might be, right? The physical things that we do. But as I said, the energy that we back it with is even more important. So that's quadrant 1. Then quadrant 2 is the spiritual work. Who are you becoming on a soul level to be able to hold this next level? This could be meditation, right? This could be the rewiring work that I do in my community where we're rewiring these deeper beliefs. But a big part of it is, how are you showing up in your daily life, right? Are you being short with other people? Are you being unkind to other people? Are you being judgmental? Or are you being kind and loving and, magnanimous? Is that the right word? Understanding how you're actually showing up in your daily life is a big part of this. Are you gossiping? Right? Are you speaking negatively about people? Because think of every action that you take as it's creating a ripple effect of energy. And when you do any of these negative things, like judging other people or speaking negatively about them, you're literally creating negative energy in the world. So that is going to make it harder for you to manifest what you want. It's not even really about right and wrong, but it's about what energetic frequency are you putting out into the world. If it doesn't feel good when you do it, it's probably not creating a positive energy. Just like gossiping, typically I don't think people feel great. Maybe in the moment they're like, yeah, that felt good. And then they feel not good later in the day. Then the third quadrant is certainty. And this is not certainty that I'm going to get exactly what I want. This is certainty that everything is good, which I've talked about in probably every single episode, is that life supports what supports life. It's that life is not doing things to you, it's doing things for you. So even when things look challenging, even when things look like they're not working out the way that you want, knowing that behind the scenes they actually are. It's having certainty that the universe, the creator, wants what's best for you. And so even though right now things are challenging, right, knowing that good things are going to come from that. So that's a really, really big piece of the puzzle. And noticing, are you living in doubt? A lot of people that I talk to vacillate a lot, right? I call it the wiggle waggle, where they're going like from doubt to certainty, from doubt to certainty. Yes, this is going to work out. This is going to be amazing. I can do it. But then something happens that, doesn't really look like it's going their way. And then it moves them toward, this isn't working out the way that I want. And they start to doubt it, right? Instead of saying, okay, you know what? This is a challenge or an obstacle, and I am going to look at that as a good thing and know that this is still working out for me. Okay, so that's number 3. And then number 4 is prayer. And really what I mean by that is it's just connection to the universe, to the creator. It's having moments in your day where you ask for support or ask for guidance, or maybe you journal them out, or when you're driving, just having that conversation. Because what that's doing is it's opening you up to receive that guidance, right? It's opening the door to invite in that co-creation. So those are 4 little mini steps that you can evaluate. You can even, write these down in your journal and notice every day, where are you? What was your physical action, right? What was your spiritual work, your certainty, your prayer? How did you align on those? So I really love that as a tool to use within, because those 3 steps I gave you, which I'll give you them again, just so you kind of can have them. The first one is vision clarity, right? It's getting clear on that frequency in addition to the goal. Then it's clearing out those blocks that are coming up for you. And then it's collapsing time through aligned action and divine connection. And these 4 little pieces are kind of how you can live those bigger steps that you're doing over time. So I hope this was exceptionally helpful for you. If you want to be guided through this process, that's literally what I do in my community. So you can send me the word podcast on Instagram at Alignment with Jen, and I'll send you a 5-minute video about that program. I'd love to have you. It is honestly the most amazing community of women on the internet, like so amazing. So thank you for being here. And please, if you have not followed this podcast, please follow it. It really helps to help me create more episodes for you and improve the episodes that I do create. So have a wonderful week. Bye.